that needs to be quite precise because it has a crazy, I'm going to pause, it has a crazy necessity to nail a very close encounter with lathe that we can then turn into a lathe orbit. We're just coming in late to lathe from behind. That way we come in as slow as possible relation to lathe, and then we're just going to burn it down. We could probably be more efficient, but there are limits to what I'm willing to deal with. Okay, and the timing of this burn won't matter whatsoever, so I'm just going to do it now. We're just going to do it very, very slowly. Because of the nature of the burn, we need to make sure it's as perfect as it can be. And then I look at this encounter with Tylo, and I wonder if I can make it help me at all, and I'm going to say no. In fact, it looks more like it's screwing me up. But no, we're fine. There's our encounter with lathe. Now, all we care about, I'm actually going to delete this maneuver node. All we care about now is our lathe periapsis. And it's the X key to stop. 1,000,000. Okay, when I said all we care about is our lathe periapsis, that's not entirely true. We want it on the other side of lathe, in addition to the distance. So let's go ahead and I've turned on RCS, and he doesn't have RCS. That means I have to turn around. And if you're wondering what happened there, I burned too much because the game hates me. And in addition to the game hating me, I like missed the X key somehow. Okay, 152, and it's polar, but we're going to deal with that. Okay, the next thing that happened is the Dres window. Let's go ahead and just add this maneuver now so I don't forget about it. To get us into orbit of lathe. Oh, and I had already decided I wanted a kind of a elliptical orbit anyway. Because he's only got 1,000 in him, so if we do 700 or so, we can get to him with the other ship later. Okay, the Dres window, we need to actually go to the ship around Duna. Well, around Ike. Because we need to set up a maneuver leaving Ike in the correct direction to eventually get to Duna. We can probably close all of our radiators and stuff. And we want this to be roughly 288 days from now, which is this universal time number. So we're going to copy that, Control C, and then we are going to create a maneuver node. We're going to create a maneuver node, and we are going to paste that number that we copied here into here. And now our maneuver node is roughly, for some reason, 10 days beyond what that says. But hey, who's going to care? We'll just make sure we go back instead of forward on it. So, if we were to just burn straight forward at, let's say, 200 meters per second. Okay, that's heading that way. Now, if we go minus orbits, that's the direction we're going to be heading. Now, does that send me correctly out of Duna? No, it doesn't. It's exactly the opposite of what we want. So, that's retrograde from Duna. We want to be going prograde from Duna. So we want to be on this side of the orbit. So I'm just going to drag this thing around in this mode, which won't change anything. And now, see, that's sending us out Duna exactly backwards, or exactly forwards, which sends us out this way to Dres. And obviously 2,000 is way more than we want. We want like 1,000. Probably set Dres as the target. And see, yeah, I figured it was doing this. It's trying to match us up right at the descending node, or at least near it. I was really expecting a Dres encounter to show up here. I was really kind of expecting that. Okay, there's that, and there's that. So obviously it's completely wrong, and I don't care enough. We got an encounter with something. Did we get a second encounter with Duna? No way. Are Duna and Dres in sync with each other? No. I think we have an encounter with Dres on the next orbit. This is no longer anything even remotely resembling a Hohmann transfer. But if we get it, I'll take it. Not seeing that. So I think I'm just reading the map wrong. But it looked like when I placed that in that maneuver node, I got an encounter. But I think it's because we have 2 maneuver nodes. I think that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. We were to burn up here. So we're not going to get much Oberth benefit from Dres. So if we just burn up there until we get an encounter, we'll deal with that then. So we got 775 and 786. Those two together is about 1,600. That's half of our fuel. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We could probably do much better, but we're not going to bother. And it's 288 days away. We don't actually care about this. It's 292 days away. Let's delete this node, or this thing here. And let's jump to this guy again and fast forward those 292 days. Hello, whoever's watching. If you're curious, I'm doing a grand tour in parts. I just finished the Duna leg, and I'm heading to Dres in a minute. This is what's going to Joule. We're going to meet up with this and land this on Tylo and Vol, and this on Lathe. I'm just doing some lengthy time warping here. And I'm on this ship, even though we're not sending it, because it's out in solar space, and you can time warp full speed. The other ship's in low orbit of Ike, so it doesn't really have the oomph to get going. And I don't actually know how long the burn is, so let's slow down 15 minutes beforehand and actually look at that. Okay, it is a 2-minute burn, so we need to start a little bit more than a minute ahead of time, which makes me glad that I came back because reasons. Let's go into locked mode. Let the camera go all crazy. Although if we started at exactly 1 minute, it probably wouldn't be a big deal. But it would take me a couple seconds to process that I needed to start 1 minute. So, short answer: I'm dumb and need as much help as I can get from the game. And we are enough off center, and I now recall that I emptied the... Oh, these guys are running. Eesh. Shut down engine. Shut down engine. Stay on target. Shut down engine. Okay, yeah, this guy needs to empty his fuel into him. Because the ship is too off-center if you don't do that. Really screws up my plans here to be perfectly exact, but hopefully a few seconds won't make a difference. And I know for a fact it would have been worse if I had started even later. Yeah, the rotation must be because he's slightly off center as I'm thrusting. The ship is probably the engine here. The engine is compensating for the off-centeredness while I'm rotating and then causing it to go kind of off kilter here. No bigs. Should probably raise my landing gear. Put my finger on the X key when this thing's done. Not that I'll hit it at the correct time or anything, but it would be nice to at least be ready for it. And it's got to be good enough. There we go. 0.1 meters per second. We're going to call that good. Whew. Okay. Now, do we still have a Dres encounter with this other maneuver node? That's the main question here. And the answer looks to be no. And we don't even have an encounter marker, which is annoying. And I have no idea why. I'm going to use RCS here. There we go. There's our marker. And then it was about 750 or so. Something very close to that. 787. Okay, let's get ourselves out of Ike's sphere of influence. And get ourselves out of Duna's sphere of influence. And go a little bit farther just to make sure we don't get caught by Duna or anything crazy like that. And then the Jewel Grand Tour ship is heading to Jewel. That's the next thing that's going to happen. We can still see Ike spinning back there. Probably not if you're watching this at 720, but that's not my problem. I love watching the planets cross over the sun. course, it looks like I'm going backwards around the sun, but I'm not. The ship is backwards. The ship is upside down relative to what we normally would think is right side up. There is no right side up in space, just convention. I love watching the planets go in front of the sun. That is so cool. Okay, he's getting into Jules Sphere of Influence, and actually his burn at Lathe is going to happen before this guy needs to do anything. So Jeb, you are off the hook for a while. We're going to get this guy into orbit around Lathe, where he is going to sit until Jeb is ready for him. And I did it again. There it is. I was like, where did that ship go? I kind of need it. I was afraid the game had like deleted it or something crazy like that. But okay, Jewel is off that way. Let's watch his moons as they slowly come in. Let's hit F5. As we come on down here. That is so cool. There's Tylo, Vol. We're catching up on Lathe. We're coming in on under the South Pole here. This is just awesome. Possibly the next time you see Lathe, she's gonna be have clouds on her because I might install the environmental visual enhancements pack. I don't know if I'm gonna bother though. Okay, the burn is in 30 seconds. It's a 50-second burn. And I'm just going to do it now. Just get him into a nice Lathe orbit. And then it's right back to Jeb. And we can check our contract, make sure Duna and Ike are registered. Not that I expect them not to be, but yeah, we gotta wait for this sphere of influence change to be gone at least. It looks like we're actually pretty close to it, so might as well bring it down just a little bit to make sure. Wouldn't want any accidents. Okay, Jeb, you got a year of sitting around doing nothing. Where we can check this contract here. And yes, we've done everything except for the land on Kerbin part. And then we got Dres next, and we're actually going to go to Elu after that. And then Jewel. The crowning achievement of the Grand Tour program is going to be the Jewel section, which is nice. Ideally, we'll only need to fill up the tanks once at Jewel, but I'm going to keep the ISRU ship until I'm sure I don't need to. The other ships can suck fuel off of that thing forever, though, and they've got a lot of refills, so I'm not too concerned about that. Really wish there was one more step of time warp. I really do wish that. Thing is, after this burn, we're going to have to orbit again, and I'll probably stop the stream for that too. It just makes making the videos for YouTube easier if they're in smaller chunks. And I wish I could tell OBS to cut the videos automatically every 30 seconds without interrupting the stream, but it doesn't have that option, and I'm not smart enough to program it. All the check marks just went away. Which I'm not going to say is mildly terrifying, but it is mildly terrifying. If I don't get the contract after all this, I'm going to still claim victory. Because that's a bit of BS. Okay, it's a 93-second burn. It's in 10 seconds here. Might as well get aimed at it. Yeah, I'm a little worried about this whole not showing me that, but I'm not going to worry about it too much at the moment. Let's get the job done, and then we'll worry about getting credit for it later. Distant object enhancement has settings. Who knew? Enable flares, show names on mouse over. Ooh, I like that. Show debris flares. Distant vessel rendering. Probably don't need that. Yeah, dynamic sky dimming. It was doing that. Debug mode. Yeah, let's just apply those for the fun of it. Okay, doing our burn, getting our orbit set. When we get close to exact, I'm going to, once again, stop the burn and do the rest with Verners. The tweaks. Okay. That's got to be close enough. Not quite. Okay. So RCS is already on. H is bringing us closer. Oh, there we go. Now let's focus on Dres, wherever he may be. There he is. Okay, we're coming in crazy angle, as you expect. Okay, N brought us down that way. What about left and right? That didn't do it. That didn't do it. We might need to do a mid-course correction here. Yeah, because those are just going left and right, and that, yeah, these are just, these are doing is changing that. So, out here, I said out here, oh wait, no, that's Dres. I want it out here. We're encountering here, so let's just do it at the apoapsis. Add a maneuver, go back in orbit. Now watch this. The game won't let me go back in orbit. even though there's an orbit previous to this one. Luckily, Precise Node is smart enough to do that. Okay, now out here, what can we do to make things better? A little bit of prograde. It's actually pretty good. A little bit less prograde. That gets us in the ballpark. Might as well come in for a polar orbit. And then a little bit normal. A little bit prograde. Yeah, this is going to be nuts to nail exactly. Something along those lines will be fine. I don't think we have to worry too much about the rotational velocity of Dres. I don't think it's anything major. I don't even think we can we tell it here? Rotation period is a day and 3 hours. So yeah, the rotation period is pretty slow. That I'm not going to worry about. I'm not going to worry about that sort of thing. Okay, but that maneuver node is in 3 years, which means I'm going to stop the stream. I'm going to stop the YouTube video, and I will be back in a few minutes or a second, depending on where you're watching this. Okay, we are back. We are 60 some odd days away from our burn. I've just been sitting here watching Dres spin and spin and spin. The nice thing about coming into a polar orbit is I don't have to fiddle around with my scanner. It can just detach and scan, or technically doesn't even need to detach. But I don't think I want to bring it down to Dres. So let's close the alarm and might as well aim at this thing. Now we are somewhere. There we are. Actually, there we aren't. Where is our ship? Oh, it's the maneuver node I'm heading towards. Why is it? I'm very confused. I see what I did wrong. Luckily, it doesn't matter this far away, but yeah, I thought that I was time warping to the sphere of influence change. I was time warping to the maneuver node, so we still have a while. And I think that's good enough. There we go. That's good enough. And now we got to go around for a whole other year. Well, not around, I guess. We have to... It's a year, but it's just like a quarter of the orbit. But oh well. Not going to go away for that one. I'm going to make you watch this. I have to watch it. You have to watch it. Yeah, I decided after the first couple episodes that I was going to document everything important. You know, I wouldn't necessarily feel the need to document sitting on the surface waiting for the fuel tanks to fill up, or even long transfers like this. But I did want everything that, you know, every action I took to be documented. So, you know, because it is a grand tour. It's the pinnacle of what you can do in the game. It's the ultimate challenge, as it were. So I wanted to make sure that they were all available to see. So you know, for not necessarily proof per se, but for some sort of documentation purposes. I don't know if anyone's ever going to want to watch this after I'm done with it, or if I'm even going to want to watch it again. I'm sure someday I probably will, because I tend to watch all my videos eventually. But like after experiencing these, I haven't really felt the need to watch them. I did watch my Eve one, and I watched the Duna one that just came out yesterday, or yeah, yesterday, last night, if you want to call it that. Probably several days ago now for anybody watching on YouTube. But when I landed on Duna, and or not when I landed on Duna, when I transferred to Duna, I'm pretty proud of how well that went. How I left Minmus, nailed that maneuver node right at Kerbin Periapsis, and took off to Duna. That was pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure I'll watch the Duna crashes when the time comes, because yeah, that was fun. But okay, we are now in orbit. Our periapsis is lowering annoyingly, so let's go into time warp to stop that. Let's set a node at periapsis to slow us down. Okay, I got to use precise node for every part of... What is going on? Why does the game hate me? Let's try this again. Let's do a maneuver node. Set it to the periapsis and it vanishes. Awesome. Okay, let's just add a maneuver node and pretend that's good enough. Oh, just any clicking makes it go away. Okay, F5. F9. That's F10, and I just stopped the stream.